Hey guys, Pro Coach here, and it's time for your favorite series and mine, figuring out what role you are as a player. We already went over two attack roles, the entry and the hard support, but I wanted to switch over to the defense side and start talking about the site anchor. Now, let's start as we always do by defining what exactly the anchor position is. The anchor is the defensive role that is holding down the objective from inside or near the bomb site and denying attackers control in the late rounds. Your job isn't to roam or to chase kills, but to instead maintain map control, gather information, and survive long enough for teammates to rotate or for the final execute. You're the support player on defense and typically will be responsible for setting up sites and hopping on cams to enable the rest of your team. That same dirty work that I talk about in my hard support guide, aka doing everything besides going for kills, does also apply here. However, I do want to note that you don't want to just stick your worst fragger in this role. That is because a lot of times you're actually alone in the bomb site, or at least outnumbered versus a site rush, and you have to be able to lock it down or at least make teams fear hitting the site. Take Pro Team Dark Zero, for example. NJR is the site anchor for the team and also one of the best fraggers in the entire world. The reason he is a site player, though, are for his qualities as a player, which we'll talk about next. So what are some qualities of a good anchor player? For me, the number one quality of a good anchor player is patience. Just like a hard support on attack, your value is going to come from surviving deep into the round. You need to be disciplined and avoid taking those ego fights and throwing your life away early. Remember, the defense has the advantage of the clock, so just by staying alive, it forces attackers to burn precious time, and it makes them use utility, and it adds pressure and nerves into the mix. That takes me into the second quality, which is the awareness and game sense. A great anchor understands normal attacking defaults and habits, the common entry points, your tracking utility for plants, and where gaps might be that an attack can use. You should be constantly thinking in your head what your weaknesses are and how the attack could exploit them so that you have an answer on how to fill those gaps and prevent the attack from winning. A good example of this is Nighthaven Labs, that top floor site. Let's say the attacking team gets garden, connector, E-box control, and it's a 3v3. You know one enemy is under, the Buck, because he killed your teammate who was close to the E-box door. The wall is open. They can just walk in and plant pillar. But you, as the anchor, you know that you need to be positioned close to the rafter wall so that you can use your utility, your smokes, and you can deny the plant. You also know that, well, there was that Buck under, and he could absolutely try and walk up the aqua stairs and backstab the team. So you tell your teammates, you guys need to watch that. You smoke, you deny the plant, and there's only 10 seconds left. The attackers know they can't plant pillar. They start panicking. They're going to push through for kills, and they ultimately lose the round. You successfully predicted the attacker's win condition. You had a solution primed and ready to go, your smoke util. That is what makes a good site anchor really great. That leads me to the third trait that I want to talk about, which is good communication, which seems to be a normal trait in these, so use your microphones, people. As an anchor, you often have the clearest picture of what's happening during the round, whether that's from being on cams to help your roamers or tracking utility used on site, like maybe the main breach just opened up and you heard a glass shoot outside. You need to keep a constant dialogue with your roamers about the status of the site so that they know if they should keep roaming or should they fall back and help support you. Again, this is the information hub of the defensive team. And if you're a silent player and you only come after you die and they already have the site, then maybe this role is not for you. I can go on for a while with some other traits that I think good anchors have, but for the last one I want to add to this list is having smart positioning. Now, smart positioning will win you more gunfights than raw aim. Trust me. My success as a pro player of over 6 years wasn't because I was mechanically gifted like Bolo or Spoit, but purely because I was able to understand where to sit, when to move, and how to avoid giving my life for free. I actually have a whole video of that on my channel that you can check out, but I really do believe that positioning is everything. And so many amateur players, T2 players, and even some T1 players suffer from bad positioning and moving too much for zero reason. Siege is a big chess game, and getting yourselves into crossfires or tradable positions and making the attackers have to fight you on your terms will win you a lot more rounds than blindly overswinging. All right, let's review and see if you check the boxes of being a good anchor player. Follow along, self-rate yourself 1 to 10 on these qualities. Number 1, how aggressive are you as a player? For this role, you should be leaning more on the side of being passive rather than aggressive. You do not want to give your life away for free often, and you should know that your value is more towards the end of the rounds. I think that you should be below a 5 or a 6 because if the site player is dying early and I'm a roamer, for example, then I think I'd be looking for a new anchor. Now, of course, there are sites in this game where you maybe want your anchor to be more aggressive, but in general, this is the rule. Number 2, can you read a round and identify win conditions? If you're typically lost during a round and you have no clue what the enemy team is doing, then either A, you're one of my brainless teammates I haven't ranked, or B, this role isn't for you. You need to know the very default pushes and at a bare minimum, be able to identify whether they at least want to set up for a plant or flood for kills. Now, this is something that will come with reps on the different maps and sites, and you'll get more comfortable with time, or you can also check out your favorite Pro League streamers, as they almost are always running defaults in ranked. Familiarize yourself with these and know how to counter them. Number 3, are you a vocal player? Just like the hard support on attack, this is the information hub, and you don't have to be the most vocal on the team or the IGL, but you cannot be silent. You do need to be able to vocalize to your teammates. Do you need help on site? How can they help you on site? Are you on cams? What's clear? What's watched? You're the support player. Act like it. Number 4, do you have good positioning? Do you find yourself moving around without any thought process as to what angles are exposed and what's safe? Do you often make yourself tradable? Again, this is one trait I see lacking big time, especially in NA, and it usually comes down to some sort of discipline. Everyone wants kills, everyone wants to swing, and they want to give their lives away and then blame others when we inevitably throw away that 4v2. Number 5, do you possess the clutch gene? There is good anchors, and then there's great anchors. And when you think about some of the best anchor players in the entire game, the ones that frequently come to mind are the ones that you know can pull off that insane 1v2, 1v3 clutch and steal your team the round or the map. Now, of course, you don't want to be in these as much as possible, but it definitely helps when you know someone can win a few of them. If you meet all the boxes, then congrats. You are the backbone of the entire defense, the anchor. If you don't, then again, don't worry. There's plenty of other roles that might be for you, or maybe we can just work on some of these. Let's start with some tips. All right, tip number 1, know how you want to set up your site. If you don't know how a standard site is set up, then check out my many defensive guides I have on the channel where I go over defaults that you'll see in Ranked or Pro League and how to properly play them. Now, that's a great place to start, but as a reminder, they are cookie cutter, meaning that they do work as a default, but things should change based on how the attacking team is playing. You need to adapt and know that if the team is just trying to rat their way into sight on Chalet Dining, for example, that maybe Cade isn't the best choice, and maybe you should take Malusi instead for your gaps. Or if on Nighthaven Labs, if you're playing the basement site and you notice that they're not bringing a Mav or a Thatcher and Thermite's just going up to the wall and opening it, you could just go Bandit and counter that. You have to have a pretty large operator pool as an anchor, and you have to constantly be thinking and trying to problem solve how the enemy team is playing. Number 2, familiarize yourself with gaps. When the round starts, you need to recognize where any potential gaps are or any weaknesses that the attack could abuse. Let's take that Chalet Dining example again and pretend that you're following the Chalet defense guide on my channel and running 4 roamers up top, and you're actually solo anchoring the site with Cade. You have Banshees for outside your dining door and for your west main, and you know that there's no utility for your trophy window. When the round starts, the attackers open the trophy window up. So you hold it from a deep angle in dining, knowing that you don't have to watch anything else. You have Banshees covering. However, you hear a Flores go off and they get your Banshee in West Main. You know that you can't watch both, so you ask for a teammate upstairs. Can you look through the bathroom vert, help hold my West Main, which he does, and you continue to look at trophy. They Flores your Banshee at the dining door, and again, you tell your team now that you're giving up your angle on the trophy window and that they could take it, and you're going to watch the dining door, which is the more immediate threat. You're effectively plugging all the gaps that the attack is creating, and you're not letting them surprise you. You know the gaps. Now in solo queue, this may not be possible or as coordinated as this example, so I highly recommend taking a stroll through site and seeing where your team's actually placing their barbed wire or any of their utility, and that way you know where the attackers could fly through, and this keeps you ready. Tip number 3, get on cams early. Once you're familiar with the way you want to set up the bomb site and you get the timing down, you should try to end the prep phase somewhere safe so you can get on cams. This is one of the most underrated fundamentals that a lot of players overlook just because it doesn't work every single round if the attackers are good at shooting defaults. But even if it works 1 out of 10 times, you should do it anyway as habit because information is key in this game. By flicking the outside defaults, you can sometimes physically see the operators the attack is bringing. Let's say you see them bringing Ying or Glaz. You now know and can anticipate a site rush. Even if you don't see them, you can still hear gunshots. You might hear Glaz's rifle or Ying's gun. You can also see what cams are being shot. This tells you where the attackers are spawning, which is a good clue as to what push they want to do. And this is good information to feed to your roamers so they can better be prepared. You know if they're spawning outside kitchen side on Night Haven, for example, that, hey, they're going to want to do a lobby kitchen push. Watch out. You should make sure that you're not tunneling on the cams and you are getting off every once in a while just to see if the site's clear. But if nothing is happening, it's a really good habit to be in just to get on the cams, help your roamers out, get the kills, or just to let them know what areas are safe and they can fall back. Number 4, staying alive during site rushes. Now this one is huge. And a lot of site players think that if the attackers are rushing, that they have to quickly get all the kills and shut it down. But actually, the best thing to do is to delay as long as possible for your team to rotate back and help. And one of the best ways to do that is just by staying alive and hiding in the site. Here's a clip that recently happened during the NAL Regional Finals. Oxygen versus Shopify. That highlights my exact point. Shopify notices a huge gap in Oxygen's basement defense. They can rush down the cargo stairs into site where there's only one defender. Forrest is solo anchoring the site as Bandit, and he almost loses his life to Canadian on the Blitz before he realizes they're in the site. Now, he doesn't just immediately swing going for as many kills as possible. Instead, he runs away knowing that if they kill him, they can just plant the diffuser. This pressures Shopify into pushing through the site, looking for him, and it buys time for the rest of his team to get on the top down holes, and it helps him, which shuts down the entire push. This is really good for any sites that your roamers are playing above. We can reference that dining site on Chalet again, where if the attackers just rush the site, you as the anchor, you could just go prone behind the dining table and you have your teammates cover you from vert. You don't have to be the hero. Number 5, and the last tip from this list, is communicating late round utility. Now, I wanted to throw something in here that involved communication because, again, I feel like most of these guides have been talking a lot about comms. What do you need to actively communicate here? Well, even if you're not the IGL, you are still responsible for the bomb site and if the attackers can or can't plant the diffuser. And it's up to you to communicate this to your team. Think about it. If you're smoke and you're about to smoke the plant, but you don't say anything to your team, they're going to think that they have to make a play and they're going to go charging in, throwing their lives away, and putting you in that unnecessary situation. Instead, communicate. Tell your team, chill. I can stop the plant with smokes. Or the opposite. I can't stop plant. I'm out of smokes. We need to make a play. This then lets your team or the IGL come up with an alternate plan, like going for a flank or powering through the bomb site. That's going to do it for the anchor guide. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting this entire series. And thank you so much if you are the backbone of my defense and making me all those rotates, the anchor. If you're not, well, guess what? We're going to keep going through this series and find out what role you guys are. So let me know down in the comments which one I should do next, and we'll see you guys in the next video.